Hello, I'm Steve Naveau, Human Resources Director, and I will be presenting the Memorandum of Understanding for the Oxnard Public Safety Managers Association. The Oxnard Public Safety Managers Association represents 20 employees that consists of police commanders, fire battalion chiefs, assistant police chiefs, and assistant fire chiefs. The issues addressed during this round of bargaining consisted of city contribution increase to the health benefits, a market adjustment, retention payments, standby pay, holiday leave hours, annual leave redemption, fire battalion chief additional hours specific to mutual aid, and then also a reopener clause. So the first item I'm going to talk about is the city's health benefit plan. And like many public agencies, the city contracts with CalPERS for medical insurance. So CalPERS negotiates directly with a variety of health insurance plans to obtain the most cost-effective rates for its member agencies. But even with this large negotiating power, healthcare continues to increase at a steady pace, with the average increase for medical insurance being 8% per year. In 2018, the city took the step to increase its contribution towards medical coverage with the intent of providing a benefit that could cover a family plan in at least one of the medical plan options we offer. And that continues to be a guiding principle in the negotiations. In alignment with this principle, the city has agreed to increase its contribution towards medical insurance for employees by 5% per year over the 3-year contract. Of note here is the market continues to be very competitive. Jurisdictions in our surrounding area have continued to make increases in their pay ranges. And what we're doing within this contract is we are increasing the actual pay range, top of our pay range. So employees are not necessarily getting an additional increase outside of an annual increase they receive. So on standby pay, currently when certain police commanders end their regular shift, they immediately begin to work standby. This means that the commander must be available to immediately return to work if required. The 3 assignments where this standby pay would be applied to is the commanders over special operations, the commander over investigations, and the one over professional standards. All 3 of these are multi-year assignments, and so there is a significant impact on the officer as well as the officer's family. This $2 an hour is a means for the city just to acknowledge that there is this significant impact on both the officer's family and quality of life. Holiday hours. This provision essentially adds the day after Thanksgiving to this bargaining group. The vast majority of the bargaining groups in the city have this as a holiday. For some reason, this particular bargaining unit did not. So this just adds the day after Thanksgiving so that this bargaining unit is in alignment with the other groups throughout the city. Annual leave redemption. So this new language allows employees to cash out their leave at any point in the calendar year. The current contract sets a window period where employees are allowed to cash out a certain amount of their annual leave. And when that language was developed, it was intended to assist with the workload and payroll, but this is no longer needed. So this language, all it does is allow employees to cash out this time over the course of the year. It does not change the actual benefit. It does not present an increase in cost to the city. So it's not an expansion in any way of the current benefit. Fire battalion chief additional hours. This language seeks to create equity within the rank of battalion chief. So within this rank, there are 2 rates of pay that battalion chiefs may earn. One is if they're working suppression, which means they work 24-hour shifts and oversee some of the suppression units within the city. The other is called an administrative shift, which works in the office. And the hourly rates of pay are calculated differently because of the number of hours that the employee works, depending on whether they're an administrative shift or a suppression shift. The problem here is when a battalion chief is assigned to work a mutual aid, they go out and they work it at their current rate of pay, which creates this inequity, since when they are out working mutual aid, they are essentially working on a suppression shift, meaning they're working 24 hours a day for some certain period of time. So this will make it to where it evens the playing field, and the battalion chiefs are all making the suppression rate of pay within their classification when they are out on mutual aid. Again, there is no cost to the city for this. This is strictly an equity issue. The last item is a reopener. The city and the OPSMA are agreeing to reopen the contract concerning wages should the subordinate bargaining unit, International Association of Firefighters, also called IAFF, secure a contract with a salary increase totaling more than 3% per year over the 2-year period. The range increases that I talked about earlier in this presentation are based on the assumption that IAFF would have a 3% per year increase to the top of the range. If for some reason it's more than that and the city settles, we would want to revisit what the top of the range increases are for the battalion chief and the assistant fire chief, because it could create compaction within the subordinate bargaining unit, which is IAFF, and the OPSMA. So the language does not necessarily require the parties to reach an agreement, but it does require the parties to negotiate over wages if the conditions are met. The fiscal impact of this contract using the labor costing methodology, the total estimated cost of this package for the upcoming 3-year period is $869,121. It's an increase of 15.09% of total compensation, which averages out to about 5.03% per year, and that's within the confines of the contract itself. Because there are one-time payments in here, those don't continue beyond the terms of this contract. So the impact ongoing after the term of this contract, which would be the increase in payroll due to the top of the range increase and due to the changes of the city's contribution to medical, would be $549,121, or an overall increase of 9.53% after this contract expires. The cost of the contract has already been assumed in the city's budget forecast, and as such, there's no additional appropriations are needed if this is approved. This final slide just illustrates 2 different ways that contracts are costed. There's something we call the labor methodology, where it looks at year by year, and then there's a budget methodology, which essentially compounds the increased cost over the term of the entire contract as a percentage of the base compensation from when it first started. At the end of the contract, as you can see, the percentages, which is the actual increase in payroll over the base payroll, is 15.09%. Even though the dollar amounts may be stated differently because, like I said, the budget methodology compounds the cost, whereas the labor methodology looks within each fiscal year and it stands alone on its own, and then you add that up at the end of the contract, which is where you come out with $869,121. So this concludes my presentation, and I am available to answer any questions. Thank you.